You are listening to Viewpoints from PlaceCloud. Cultural researchers tell stories of places from around the world. For the full multimedia experience and to support the creators you enjoy, visit placecloud.io.
Heading east along the Thames path, the barrier appears like a row of silver shells rising from massive concrete piers. They are like sentinels, vigilant, waiting. When the gates are lowered, the Thames passes through freely, as it has for centuries, flowing out toward the North Sea. But when storm surges threaten, wheels rotate upward, lifting the barrier gates into place to form a continuous wall against the tide. It's hard to imagine looking at the glistening water on a calm day, but it happens more often than you might think. Not only during dramatic storms, but regularly for testing, for maintenance, for practice, sometimes several times a month. It is living infrastructure, something tended, tested, and never truly at rest. Someone is always watching the forecasts, monitoring pressure systems in the North Sea, calculating tide hours, sometimes days in advance. The barrier is less a wall than a constant dialogue between humans and the sea. Without it, large parts of London would be underwater. Canary Wharf, Westminster, parts of the underground network, hospitals, power stations, homes. The city we think of as permanent is, in geological terms, precariously temporary. The winter storms of 2013 and 2014 offered a glimpse of its vulnerability. That season alone, the barrier closed 29 times. Without those closures, vast areas of London would have been catastrophically inundated. And yet there's an uncomfortable truth behind this reassuring machinery. The barrier was designed for conditions that no longer exist. When it was completed in 1982, engineers believed it would protect London until around 2030, perhaps longer. In the 1980s, it closed just 4 times, 4 closures in an entire decade. By the 1990s, that number had risen sharply. By the 2010s, closures were occurring 50 or 60 times per decade. What was conceived as an exceptional intervention has become routine infrastructure. Sea levels are rising faster than predicted. Storm surges are intensifying. The system now operates closer to the limits of what it was designed to handle. So engineers are already asking the next question. Should the barrier be raised higher? Should new defences be built upstream? Or should an entirely new barrier be constructed further east, deeper in the Thames estuary? Each option costs billions. Each would buy time. But until when, no one knows. London is not alone in facing this dilemma. Venice has built its Mersey barrier. The Dutch, who have held back the sea for centuries, are now experimenting with giving some of their land back, deliberately making room for water in certain areas, acknowledging that not everything can be defended forever. There's a medieval story that comes to mind here. King Canute, according to legend, placed his throne on the shoreline and commanded the tide to halt. When the water continued to rise and soaked his feet, he reminded his courtiers that even a king cannot command the sea. Standing here, it's hard to decide whether the barrier represents hubris or simply an attempt to negotiate with time. In many ways, it's an engineering triumph, and there is something undeniably beautiful about it. But there is also a quiet awareness that it may not always be enough. Immense forces press against it each day. Planners are already imagining what must come next. But remarkably, it still works. The gates rise, the surge slows, London stays dry. The system performs exactly as intended. But it is solving yesterday's problem while tomorrow's conditions are already arriving. Stand here at high tide and watch the river pressing against those steel gates. Millions of tons of water held momentarily in suspension, and you begin to understand what this structure really represents. A profoundly sophisticated way of buying time. The gates will rise again, perhaps tomorrow, or the day after. Engineers will calculate, operators will monitor, the system will hold, for now. And the tide, indifferent to our ingenuity, will continue its slow and patient work.